guys, and welcome to episode 8, Interracial Relationships. I'm your host, Erica. This evening, Leo Cade will not be joining us. He is on a leave until fall, and he will be back with us tentatively around October, November. Until then, we have our new co-host, Oscar Spearman at Oscar Spearman Photography. Oscar, how are you this evening?
Fantabulous. Thank you for asking.
Mix of words, fantabulous.
Right.
Hot Cocoa 31. Hi, Jolon. You look amazing.
Thank you. So are you beautiful?
Yeah.
Beautiful people.
My dear friend, Lewis Johnson at Men Levin Right.
What's up? What's going on, peoples? We're about to make it happen tonight.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Get into it.
Amazing topic. So I'm going to segue over to back to Oscar so we can just attack our disclaimer before we go forward, and we'll hop right in.
Sure. Well, again, welcome everybody. So Eric and I were talking about just the whole concept of interracial relationships and the purpose of this gathering, this platform. So obviously, as a disclaimer, we want to make sure that we are edifying always, tearing down never. We have different people from different walks of life that tune in literally from across the country and hopefully across the globe. So we always want to think ahead with the content that we put out. We're not here to bash any one race or any one gender for decisions and choices that they make. So we want to be respectful. We don't want to call out a race because of certain social injustices. That's not what this topic and this platform is about today. So we just wanted to make sure that they all felt this was a safe place and a safe environment to have open discussion. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. So let's just jump right in. Let's have this living room conversation, have some fun. How many of you, with a show of hands, have been in an interracial relationship? Jolon?
The oddball out. What? I'll stand alone. That's okay. I'll be alone.
Awesome. So before we go into any question answered, can you kind of just give us like a little synopsis? How was your experience? Whether you had a few experiences, like what did you take from your experience, Oscar? I'll start with you.
Oh, so you're gonna ask the international guy.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't just grow up around Hispanic, whites, if you will, or blacks. I pretty much, my parents made sure that I was exposed to all kind of races. So, I had friends from, different black cultures, if you will. My godparents, if you look at them, you would think that they were just regular, quote unquote, Caucasians, but they're Hispanic, So for me, in my experiences, especially going into high school, I would say in high school, I probably had a mixture of Hispanic and black girlfriends. It wasn't a lot. But, for me, it was with the Hispanic girls at the time, it was a more pleasant experience because I was treated, it had nothing to do with sex. It was just more out of respect, For example, because of culture, when a Hispanic girl meets you for the first time, they're actually giving you a hug and they kiss you on the cheek. Me growing up in the certain areas of Miami, where it was predominantly black, the black girls, when they first meet you, they're kind of side-eyeing you, so I grew up seeing that a lot. So that's been kind of my experience in a nutshell.
Awesome. And what about you, Lewis?
I would say that I'm just about almost the same thing. I'll piggyback a little bit on that. My first experience was when I was 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, and she was Hispanic. She grew up in the neighborhood though, so she was part of the culture in which I grew up in. So it wasn't something that was difficult it wasn't unknown to me. She literally lived across the street and we went to the same school. So but I was always intrigued, I would say, with women with nice bodies. Not, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of men is that way too, but I was just always intrigued. I mean, and she, I mean, just they would, I don't know what they ate. I mean, they eat something now, but I don't know what they ate. I don't know what they ate back then, but I was just always intrigued. But anyway, so that was my first experience. Probably my second girlfriend that I've had after my mom wouldn't allow me to date until I was like 15. She just thought women were fast. If you were under, 18, you were fast. And she kept me far away from, she was like, no, she's too fast. Who's her mother? I didn't even know where she lived.
Yeah, because 15 when you have.
Yeah, but my mom knew too. She got pregnant at 15. I had my first brother when she was 16. And then 10 kids later. So, but anyway, she was Hispanic. And after that, it was I think I was lonely because when I left high school, I went to boarding school. A lot of people don't know that. I went to boarding school after high school, which was up in New Hampshire. I went there for a year. And it was because of sports. So I played sports and I wound up going to boarding school and getting training and stuff like that. And I met this Caucasian woman. And well, she was young too, because remember, boarding school only go up to what they call 13th grade, but it starts at 9th grade. And she was in the 12th grade. And I don't know. It was like, she was pretty, she was cute. I didn't see a liking to her until I just saw her every day. And then you break down that wall of not knowing to now knowing that she's just a regular person or they're just regular people. Even though I grew up in the hood, I was just intrigued because now I'm around these type of people. And mind you, it was only six black people in the whole school. And it was about 1,200 students.
Wow.
3 of us were athletes.
Oh, wow.
So,
Do the math.
and for me, yeah, the school was real expensive. The school was like $18,000 a year. And the college that I went to, in order for me to go to college and get on scholarship, they paid for it.
Wow.
That's how I got into there. So, and it was different. I met her. We were cool. We would I would lay on the grass and we would just talk, look up in the sky. And again, I thought I was lonely. It was like I had somebody to talk to.
Were you guys?
And walls were broken.
Just talking. Were you just friends?
No, we got it. Well, we wind up seeing each other. We wind up being around each other. We wind up always seeing together, going to school together, leaving. So it was probably for a year.
So essentially you're saying.
But I didn't. Huh? Yes. So, and I just, that was my experience with that. So those are my only two. As I got older, just straight melon.
Great melanin. That's right.
All right.
For me, when I was in high school, there were actually 2 guys, one being my son's father and another guy. He was Puerto Rican. And my son's father was my height, but the Puerto Rican was taller and he was on the football team and had this really stocky body with these shoulders. And I'm like, ooh, aesthetically, I like him. But then Andrew's dad had the swag and he was a troublemaker. So I was, naturally gravitating to the troublemaker. So,
That boy.
yeah, I didn't go with the Puerto Rican guy at that time. Advancing few years, I met someone else, and it just, like Lewis said, it was a vibe. I mean, we connected. It wasn't about race. There were questions in my mind like, is this even gonna work? Because you're just thinking to yourself, you have a kid.
Right.
How did they, like, come on. So after, a couple of years, it was, oh my God, just how you described, it was so easy talking to him, just relatability from the 80s and how we grew up. When we got together, I just started noticing things like, the stares that we would receive. Of course, he's Caucasian, I'm African-American, and we're just walking in a Target. And then it's like, did you see the way that man was looking at us? And then his wife, like, don't worry about them. Come on. So, at that moment, I learned immediately that someone staring at you like that is their problem, not yours. The next thing, whenever we would go to bed, I'm wrapping my hair. And I'm like, is this going to scare him if I'm going to bed with a bonnet on my head? Or, if I'm, wanting to just intimately shower, if I have to cover my hair. So different things like that were my own insecurities. Whereas with him, it was like, do you, just do you and do you naturally, whatever it is you do. So there were some hindrances, but I learned that I had to come full circle with those insecurities with me. They were not things that he presented to me. They weren't his problems. Outside of that, I just kind of noticed, like, when we argued, a lot of things would come up and we'd say some things that, were kind of stereotypical, not racist, but it made us really have to evaluate how we argued with each other. Because, a lot of things were coming to the surface that, kind of seemed unhealthy. So that's just a little bit, but everything else, it was definitely a vibe. I will say, and I will put this out there. A lot of people like to, say that people of other cultures are not well endowed. That's
Oh Lord.
necessarily true.
TMI.
Okay, that's a
I'm
lot.
just gonna put that out there. Okay, that's not necessarily true. We're all adults here, so it's not necessarily true. But
Right.
anyway, I do want to get into some serious questions there, though.
Oh yeah,
So she's just gonna segue it.
now.
Right.
So does it make you racist if you date against your own race, or does it mean that you hate yourself, or like, is one trying to erase their own race? Like, in your opinion, does it make you feel some type of way?
I guess for me, I've never dated outside of my race, but it was, I guess on the flip side, that's why I have not. And I don't feel like it makes you hate your own race. I feel like love is not blind, but I feel like love comes in all forms, shapes, sizes, cultures, colors. It's just a beautiful rainbow, an array of just expression. But for me, I don't know why, I just feel like in my heart, I just never had the desire to go outside of my race. I just never really thought about it. I never really like considered it, I guess. I've been asked that a couple times, like, well, if you can't find anybody in your own community, why not try dating outside of your race? Because there's love out there to be found. And I never was like, oh my gosh, I'll never do that because I'm, against that. But I just feel like for me, I love my own culture. I love, the Black man. And I feel like the Black man, you know, needs a Black woman, especially in these times. I know that Oscar's experience was not as nice with some of the girls, back in the day. But I feel like to me, it has been turned stereotypical, yes, to a degree. But I think that's because of our culture, how we were raised, and we were raised around each other, and so cultivated something that made us identify a certain way. But I feel like you can also be an individual because people will say, "Oh, well, you're Black, but I don't do the neck roll, and I don't snap my fingers, and I'm not loud and boisterous like some people claim that Black women are." I just feel like sometimes passion and desire and drive are kind of those words are kind of run over with, oh, angry Black woman type of thing. And I think it's just a cultural thing. I think it's just within yourself. You have to know who you are and what you're going for. And so for me, have I, back to the question, have I tried to go outside of my race? No. Will I ever? I don't know. I doubt it at this point. I just feel more comfortable being with someone of my hue. And that's just, it's a comfort thing for me.
So let me ask you guys this, and this is in conjunction with the same question. If you see a Black man with a woman of a different race, a Black woman, fellas, with a gentleman of a different race, does it make you feel some type of way?
Not me. I think when you're well informed and you're educated and you are around people, and you've been around people that have information that's shared, that's that help mold who you are as a person. Yeah, we have a Black skin and we're looked at as Black, and that's the first thing you see. But that's not the first thing you see now that society is changing in this digital format. What tends to start to happen now is what information you have to share and how you move start to become apparent. Not that our Blackness, means nothing or means anything, but I think as we change in this whole digital society, we have to start to change how we look at certain things. Now, as a personal relationship with someone, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to look at those things, but you also have to be well informed. Love is well informed. Love is not any aimless thing that you look out, because that's when it becomes something that's uncontrollable, something that puts you in a position that makes you vulnerable to certain things to get you hurt. You have to be well informed with the things of your life. If you're not, you're putting your heart and yourself in a situation that you cannot come from. And then you'll break off to share that problem, issue, and personal experience with someone else who do not deserve that. So love has to be well informed. It's not some ill thing that we just feel and that's it. It's important to us. And that's why sometimes once you get to know someone, you start to not even see color. You start to see color when somebody else says something.
Right.
Because when you sleep and you close your eyes and you lay your head on someone's heart and you hear it beat for you, it's a total different experience. And then that's when, and only when you leave your personal space of each other and outside, you start to worry.
Yeah.
So I think we have to really look at certain things. That's why it doesn't bother me, because I know I can move past someone's appearance and look at who they really are. And when I get to that point where I close my eyes, I don't even look at color.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like the way you said when you lay on the chest, because we're all human beings. We all
Mhm.
End of the day, yeah.
same
All of
internal
us.
organs, and love is colorless. So that was a strong point. I love that so much. If someone is dating outside their race, is that considered dating or marrying up, or is it increasing their social status?
I mean, for some people, that may be their thing, their shtick. If they grew up in a certain neighborhood and they're used to a certain income, and they're like, "Hey, I want to date outside of this because I want to be on the come up because what I'm exposed to is that," and I think that's dangerous. Because you can date someone outside of your race, and that person's beating the hell out of you. They're cheating on you,
That's true.
and that can happen within your own race. So, do some people do that? Yeah, I think it's a broken decision when you do that just for the bag, if you will, because the very thing that you try to run away from in a relationship because of race, you will find it, and maybe 10 times worse somewhere else, because you may be attracting the wrong type of person because of the energy that you're giving off. So
Yeah. My mother is also in an interracial relationship. Her husband is Japanese and Chinese Mongolian, and that is the same thing that she received was, oh, you're just marrying him because, or you just want to, be over here because of this, and it's like, I'm sorry, this is my relationship. How do you have a say so or an opinion? So again, like you said, that's a strong point. Another thing that she has to deal with inside of that is the cultural differences, that don't necessarily always align, and that can be problematic in any relationship. Just the way that you perceive things, the way you were raised. Um, you had a whole life before this person. So, as we talked about in previous episodes, you're not my whole world, you're a part of it. So we have to agree to disagree and learn how to get along. So that's definitely important. And also understanding that this is an imperfect person. Just because you're dating someone of a different race, and you may even find them so amazingly attractive, and he has all the perks and the thrills, or he, it's like, this is still an imperfect person. So anybody you're with, their problems come packaged differently. So
Right.
that's huge. I think there have been a couple of times I've had friends who, think that getting with someone else gives them, more validation. It opens up more doors for them. It's all in who you know and the connection because of the
Right.
and so there are some people, again, I've had friends who go into relationships for the wrong reasons. So
Right.
that's definitely why, that was an important question.
And I know of someone who he was telling me the story about someone that he actually knows, that this guy, he is African American, and he dates a lot of women. He only dates I think he only dates white women on purpose, right? But he works at Home Depot, really doesn't want to um, come up for himself. So he hooks up with white women that have money. And this one situation, I mean, this woman, excuse me, is in Las Vegas, moved this guy up to Las Vegas. She bought him a car, BMW, showers him with all these gifts. And across his bed, her bed in her house, when he was moving in, she had it painted on the wall, "Welcome home, Daddy," all of this stuff.
What?
And this guy has like 5 different kids, 3 different women, or something like that. And she's paying his child support payments. And so in that situation,
Famous as
he
in
came up,
kids.
and that's his thing.
Okay.
That's his thing. When they get into an argument, he goes and lives back with his mom. Then the girl takes him back, but he cheats on her all the time. So for some people, it's a racket.
He knew who he could do that with.
Okay.
Right.
His experience from back in the day.
Right. Right.
And it's so sad that they even have the stereotype where white women are just so docile and just they conform, and I don't believe that.
Right.
I know a couple girls who dated black dudes and they were not standing for no crap. They were not taking it. They stood their ground. They have feelings too. They spoke up. They, said their piece and, demanded respect.
Right.
I feel like, again, I feel like it's an individual thing. It depends on the person, the personality of that person. Maybe she was just desperate to be with a man,
Right.
no matter what color he was. You have to look at things like that too, because I'm like, I don't think it was a black and white thing. I just think that's her personality. She just wanted to be with somebody, and in order to keep him, because to go through those lengths to pay his child support, fly him out to Vegas and all of the above, like that just tells me you're just desperate to be anything moving,
Right.
anything walking. So in that situation, I'm just like, color is colorless in this situation. You're just trying to be with somebody.
Right. Yeah. So kind of bringing it back full circle, then what do you all think back to that question that Erica was saying? Like, actually the previous question was, if someone is dating, if a black man is dating a white women, let me put it back to you all. How do you all feel about that? When you see your brother, he may fit the physical description that you guys like, that you all may like, and he's with somebody who doesn't look like you. How do you feel about it? You've never met him before.
Yeah.
You don't know his story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's your gut reaction?
My gut reaction used to be, and that's because, you know, you're kind of shaped and molded by what you see in the world. It
Sure.
used to be like, why is he with her? Because, you know, there are lots of good Black women. But as I matured and I got older, I just started to realize that maybe he's with her because he really likes her personality. Maybe he's with her because he's just really attracted to how she looks. You know, maybe she has assets or her hair. I don't, you know, I can't take that away from someone. So later on, I just decided that love is love and love who you love. You know, I can't put who you should love into your mind because I have a feeling in my soul. You go be happy. If you didn't choose me, then you know you did not choose me. Someone else will. Someone else will come along. I don't really have a feeling of like disdain or looking like, oh, you don't need to be with her, because that could be true love. You
Yeah,
just never know.
I think I still struggle with it. Like, even though I say love is, colorless, and, you, like Oscar just asked, what's your gut, your gut reaction?
Mhm.
And I think I take a lot from just our ancestors in our generation, and, being put down so much. It's like, wow, is it because of her hair? Is it because of her nose? Is it because, she's this or that, and it's like you're overthinking it at that point. That in itself is discrimination,
Right.
but when
Right.
I, in my own experience, when I'm with someone of a different race, the first thing I've heard them say is, oh, I like this about you, your cheekbones, or, your nose, or, and I'm like, come again? And one gentleman said to me, you have European features. So you have more of an exotic look. Are you this? Are you that? And it's like, are you trying to say, are you insinuating I have to be something else to be considered pretty? Is that the standard of beauty? And then,
Right.
it's like when I see a woman with a Black man and she's not African American, that's where my mind is going. Is it because she fits this mold? So I'm still
Right.
not over that hump. And I think, again, as I talked about insecurities earlier, that is one that I deal with and I struggle with. I would love to embrace um, just the full African culture within, but I do have issues, and I say this publicly. I do have issues with my natural hair. I do struggle with um, just being able to just let it all be. And it's like,
Right.
will that be accepted if I just, even if I'm just running into Target? Will people look at me like, oh my God, did she comb her hair? That is a struggle. So I think, if I see an interracial relationship, I respect it by all means, and I'm open-minded, and I love seeing it. But yeah, there is that
Right.
gut feeling that's just like, oh my God, but so that is the truth.
And see, like I told you all, like I'm part Jamaican and I'm part Cuban, right? So when I went to Jamaica, for the first time, I saw and I heard Asian men and women. Well, I saw Asian men and women in Jamaica that weren't tourists. They were actually born there. And when they open their mouth and they talk,
Yeah.
they're straight up
Mm-hmm.
cultured
Dialect.
Jamaican.
Yep.
So that blew my mind as, age 13. And I'm like, whoa. And they call them, Jamaican Chinese. They call them Mr. Chin, because it's like they're one of us, and they don't. The Jamaicans from that I was exposed to, part of my family, they didn't discriminate. They was like, this is just a part of the culture. Cubans the same way. My dad could get along with everybody
Mm-hmm.
of different hues within the Cuban culture. They could be having parties, they're having block parties, and everybody's there just getting along. So I don't have that limited experience for me to say, well, I guess I've just been exposed to all kind of people where it makes me a little bit more willing. Now, if you would say a preference, of course, I love beautiful Black women, you know, and that doesn't mean you have to look like a model, be shaped like a model. I love Black women.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, but I also love Hispanic women,
Right.
you know, I mean, that's just me. Does that mean I prefer one over the other? I think one is better than the other. And I think there's a lot of guys that are like that. It's like, hey, if I happen to meet somebody and marry somebody who's Hispanic, you know, don't think, you know, I'm being racist and I don't want to be a part of my own culture. It's just maybe I found somebody that loves me for me.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that's the hardest pill for everyone to swallow, you know?
Right.
Because there's just so
Right.
much.
The assumption is you're targeting a certain woman.
Mhm.
Right.
Is this woman, I love everything about her. And
You know?
she is, yeah. And she just happens to look like this,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right.
So, Jolon, let's get on the topic of hair. Since I spoke about hair just minutes ago. I know you've never been in an interracial relationship, but and even I'll include the fellas, you know, for something like this, because I mean, you guys have dated Black women. What is the hair conversation like, you know, when you're talking about units, weaves, versus dating a Hispanic woman who may have fine hair, a Black woman wearing a satin bonnet to bed, whether
Yeah,
she
you ain't gotta go through all that. We already know. You ain't even gotta go. You ain't gotta go in all that. Honestly, listen, I understand it why, you know, women do certain things. And again, you have to have those conversations. If you don't have those conversations, you'll never know. You just assume. And then go deep with it. And I'm not afraid to do that, to ask any woman about her hair and how she like having it and what are the different styles she like and why she don't wear it natural. And when she don't wear it natural, does it make her feel any different? That gives me insight. I have to do that anyway when I'm having discussions, because you really truly start to, you got to peel someone to really get down to what they really mean and what they really want, especially in relationships, because people always tell you what they don't want. You can't do that. You got to say what you want or why you do this or why you wear this. Not I don't do this or that, and that's what defines me. It's what you want, and a lot of times we struggle with that, and that's in anything. But I have no problems with that. I think as here become, as the styles and the technology about it and how the different ways you can do things, I think it's beautiful. I just think it's when you wear it ratchet and ragged and you do nothing with it and you still go out and you don't care because you're trying to save some money because you want to go to Ray Ray or Sissies because that's your girl and you want to give her a try, and your hair beat up and she ain't telling you because she wants you to market her stuff, as opposed to spending a little extra money it done right and making it look right. There's some stuff I just be like, I can't even tell. I'm that serious. Even with you got, you know, the thick braids and stuff like that. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's everything that every woman want to look like from a culturally standpoint. You have so many different styles. Some women just can't do that with their hair. But to give them that experience, a woman can create magic for another woman. If that happens, trust me, she's going to give her the opportunity and she'll take it. If she has the money, I would. I'm just not going to wear my stuff raggedy. Just saying.
Right.
Just being real. And the whole thing about when I think about being with a woman, or if we go to bed, or what is she going to look like when she go to, listen, I was married before, so I understand. Wrap that, because in the morning, if it ain't right, you know, I'm just saying, yo, wrap that, you know, do that thing. You I hold it, go ahead. You know,
Can I hold it down?
I don't know. Right. I understand. Trust me, I do. I understand.
Y'all.
So, but again, our young
that's love right there.
Our young generation right now really truly don't understand that, because they look at these young women, they think that's their hair. And they think, you know, they don't understand that it's not.
but that it's okay. And it doesn't change who the person is. When you start to think about somebody by what they wear, and even though they say, listen, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck is a duck, or, you know, or different types of things. And that's why it's so important that we break the walls of engagement when we're talking with someone, because you'll never truly understand how to meet someone where they are if you don't break down that wall. And you'll always know the outside person or the representative, and it'll never be right. So I'm good. Trust me, I'm good.
So I have a whole list right here about hair. So
Oh, wow.
no.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm kidding.
Going in tonight.
Right. No, but for me, real talk, there was a time where I hated weave. I hated extension. I did, but again, remember where I grew up.
Right.
I grew up
Miami.
I was over town. People weren't spending $3,000, $4,000, $8,000 on hair, right? And it's just everything that I saw. It was a lot of hair was just not neat. And me, it's three things that I love about a woman, right? Physical features, and I'll drop this out, put this in the universe. Hair is probably like number one. Legs, and of course, backside, right? That's Oscar, right? I love natural, good smelling, healthy hair. That's straight up. That's me, right? It could be curly and natural. It could be straight. It's just, and I'm not even going there. But anyway, so hair for me is very important, especially well kept hair, and you invest in it, because to me, that tells me that you're investing in yourself. Now, later on in life, going into college and then my adult years, I met Black women that had, hair extensions, wigs that were really nice. And I'm like, wow, you look very beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. I just can't stand when you see the thread or whatever the lace, whatever they call it, and the stuff is shifted the wrong way, and it's like, girl, and I've seen some Hispanic
I
women
told you that's
and
why I
white
hate the
women.
lace fronts. Then I
Right.
said,
Right. I love edges. I love when you take the time and you do the little
Move that thing back.
right.
Yeah.
I love that. Eyebrows on fleek, as they say. I love it. I
I'm
love
still
it.
stuck on Lewis and this right here.
Right. That
Right.
concentrated look like the rap.
Right.
Help with the rap.
Yes.
I
Right.
mean, I've been told by guys, my son's father, I had this conversation with him one time and I said, do you like weave and stuff? He was like, he doesn't mind it as long as it looks natural. I
Right.
think sometimes women put too much bundles in their hair or, don't have the wig that fits them right. There's a way to do it.
Right.
I make wigs too, but I've gotten compliments from, my clients, people see them out and they're like, oh my gosh, who made that? Because I take pride in making sure that it fits the client properly and that it's a style that fits them. It's not something that's too overwhelming and looks unnatural.
Right.
So I feel like if you do something to your hair, just, try to be as natural as possible. I'm trying a new hairstyle right now. I've never tried, locks before, but I feel like I found a balance between doing something that is new for me and then also making it look like, hey, this could be growing out of my head.
Right.
It's not too big, it's not too overwhelming, but I feel like bigger and doesn't always mean better. So sometimes it's good to just like tone it down. And, like you said, Lewis, going to a professional,
And if you're with the person who doesn't, embrace your naturalness, like if you, like for me, how I said that's an insecurity. If you take all this off, the makeup and, anything, if they don't appreciate you for who you are, you should be able to be
They gotta
glam
go.
with them and be natural with them. And if it's like,
Right.
oh, I prefer you glammed, like go get that weave, and you know, you're with the wrong person. But on the flip
Correct.
side, you know, I do see a lot of couples, you know, predominantly, you know, maybe the Black woman with a Caucasian man, he embraces her naturalness. She may have like even that Erica Badu vibe, you know, she's got the dreads. And I have actually been noticing that there's more of like this
Yeah.
naturalness about the woman when I do see a Black woman with a
Yes.
Caucasian gentleman. So
Because they're appreciating the culture and
they love,
appreciating
right, they love the difference. It's like if I wanted fine hair, I could do that anytime with anybody. So, you know, I'm embracing you for who you are. So let's talk about babies. There's a stereotype statement or stereotypical statement that people want to have interracial relationships for beautiful babies.
There's some monsters out. I mean, not
Yeah.
not monster babies. Just
fine
no.
and skin.
There's some. I mean, there's some unattractive, you know, interracial folk, which means they want that and that attractive when they was a baby. So I mean, I don't think that's I think that's a stereotype, but I think people have that idea of not necessarily, and it could be toward a different race, you know, because I mean, my brother dates nothing but Dominicans because he loves that look. My second oldest brother was dating nothing but Indians, which was crazy. I couldn't understand it. My mother couldn't understand it. She was like, well, I don't understand. You guys don't like black. But my second oldest brother date nothing but Indian women. 100%.
Did he say
Same
why?
thing.
Why?
I don't know why.
No? Wow.
I really don't know why. They were exotic. Maybe it was the exotic look. Because a lot of them were very exotic. They had the long, chinky eyes, pretty long hair. The skin was real brown, but they were still, you know, of a different race.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to stay within the color range, but they wanted that exotic look
Yeah.
of who they were.
We have to always remember that everyone's standard of beauty is different. Yeah. And this whole vibe with Kevin Samuels, I'm going to go ahead and put his name on this. Okay. Oh. Talking about 1 through 10, you don't
insert eye roll.
I can't deal with that, you know, because there is no standard for beauty. I like the way you just said, Lewis, that you have 3 brothers who have 3 different types and you embrace the Black woman, whereas your brothers don't. So, right. You know, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think I definitely don't condone. I've listened to him a few times. I think the type of women that are attracted to what he has to say and eat it up and want to go hear more of it, you know what I mean, are different types. There's something for everyone. We all know that. Right. And he caters to something that requires that type of audience. And that type of audience involves haters, those who want to know, and those who really want what he has to offer. You're going to always have that type of dynamic no matter what we do. Just like our show, there are going to be some people that say our show is not real juicy and you know, all digged, you know what I mean? Then there's going to be some people that's going to say, wow, beautiful young people having great conversation. I love it. It's deep. And then you're going to have people that's going to say, I love what they're saying is touching me. So you're going to always have that. Now, unfortunately, he's just in the limelight, and the way he come across is just that's his niche. And he caters to a certain group or crew that he says he talked to. So that's why I don't really, I mean, it is what it is. People's just putting him out in the limelight. Otherwise, we wouldn't really listen to him because that's not our style, right? That's nothing we listen to.
Absolutely.
But people
the only reason I bring him up too is
right.
I hate the way that he demeans a Black woman.
Yeah.
And for a woman who watches and is a fan of his show, I personally want to say that I believe every woman, I mean, I've seen some of the women who call in, every woman is beautiful. You know, whether you make 6 figures or not. I saw one lady who got dogged out, you know.
Right.
and he says she's a 6 or something like that. But it's like Black
He
women
said
are
she was
beautiful.
a 5.
And I don't think the standard of
Okay,
beauty
who are
has
you?
to meet, People magazine, sexiest woman of the year, or even, the Kardashians, for instance, so we really have to take a step back and understand that, our culture as a whole is embraced. And as I just said, someone, coming in and saying, hey, I like you and I'm feeling you, you don't have to feel like disadvantaged, embrace that and just be open and open-minded to the possibilities. I like the movie as well with Sanaa Lathan. What was it called? Something New, where she dated
Something.
a Caucasian.
Yeah, yeah.
The scene in there where he says, take this off. I want you to take this off. And I
Right.
think she saw her scout, and she comes out and she's just like really nervous. She's got her natural hair. And he said, I love your hair. I love you like that. So
Right.
that's important.
Mhm.
Something else I wanted to touch on is family. When we are dealing with family and they don't have an acceptance for this individual, first time meeting them, and it's like, I don't know about this. How would you handle a situation like that? You're in love and you're even thinking about marriage, dating with the intention of marriage, and it's time to meet the folks, and they're not taking a liking to what's going on.
I think it's a testament to who the family is. I mean, you should be just open, because my niece is married to a Caucasian man and I love him. He's a dope individual. He treats her well, soon to be father, baby on the way, but I think it was just a natural attraction. He saw her and was like, that's going to be my wife. I don't think it was just, oh, well, she's Black, she's going to be my wife, but she has a beautiful personality, and that's my niecey poo, but she really does. And I think, he was drawn to her because of who she is. So with us meeting the family at the wedding, we had a great time. Yeah, it's a little bit of a cultural difference, but no one was looking at each other like, okay, we can't mix. We all are family here. And we had such an amazing time. And I just feel like just being open-minded and embracing just difference is what's going to help, us move forward as just a family together, because it's all about enjoying each other's differences as well. So
Right.
that's my take on that.
And I think that's a really good question and response too. And I think we should also keep in mind that we may have some people who are entertaining the possibility of an interracial relationship, and they're scared because of what's going on in society, and they're scared. They're like, you know what? I'm never gonna take this Black or Asian girl around my family because I already know how they feel, or I'm not gonna take this white girl, Hispanic girl, Asian girl, East Indian, whatever, around my family because half may like her and others not gonna like her because of whatever. So I think we need to really speak, and I don't have the answer for everybody. Maybe we can open that up if we want to go there. But for those who are struggling with, man, do I even consider this? I met this great person who, I mean, they love me for me. They're into me. But they're just not of my same race. And you may be struggling with like, man, should I do it? Because of my family. You don't live for your family. You live for you. Um, and I'm not talking about you don't live for taking care of your family. I'm not
Right.
saying that. But when you're making decisions about your life and your future,
Yes.
you can't worry about what other people say because people are going to have their differences of opinion. So you do what you feel in your heart is the right thing to do. Don't date outside your race just to do it. This is not a social experiment.
Right.
That's right.
Don't
Just to see where it's gonna go.
just to see where it's going to go. Yeah, you're playing with somebody's heart. If you meet somebody, I mean, I say roll with it. If you need to keep it on the quiet for a while till you're sure that this is what you want, I would say, talk to some people of other races, just kind of feel this stuff out, because yeah, you are going to experience some challenges. You're going to get some stares, you're going to get some looks before you even go to mom and dad,
Right.
before you go to your cousins, it's going to happen. So, but yeah.
One of the things that I do, especially with family, and I've talked and had conversations around, a couple of people as they got into interracial, or I guess other relationships, whether interracial or not. There are three things that I'll call them the three P's: you prepare, you promote, and then you provide. And basically, what that is, what you do for yourself, you also do for your family. So you prepare yourself of who you're going to meet, who you're going to be with, learn about, whether it's that culture or whoever it is, have a general understanding about what it is so that you can be informed as well. And then be able to promote that. What I mean by promote it is don't bash it. You're not don't get caught bashing something, next thing you know, you dating it.
Right.
And
Right.
people call you out. So you still have to promote not just that person, but that you also want to be for them, or want to help them do well, or the things I would probably say, you don't mind assisting and supporting and doing certain things, and not just excluding. That's
Right.
important, because you have to do that for yourself as you start to understand and receive. That's going to help you receive information that you don't know, and then be able to provide the information that you have, so that you can help, that you can assist, that you can better understand what it is and what information you have that you can share, and then get some feedback, because you could be wrong. I mean, it could be something you perceive. It could be something that you thought it was, but it wasn't, and it was a myth for whatever reason. So that's part of you first. Then once you get that and you fully understand it and you're still in learning mode, you do that with your family. You prepare them. One thing about our family is that they know you, right?
Right.
They know you. So they think if you bring them something with a wit, they're going to be like, we don't know. You didn't say nothing about this person. This the first time you telling me about this? No, come on. So you have to prepare them, and then you have to promote them. How are you with them? How they make you feel? What are the different things you do? Some of the things that you're afraid of, but that you're trying to get a better understanding of what it
Right.
is, to help you understand what it's going to be like. And you, not like you have all the answers, but you also want to be able to, get that understanding of what it is, and then be able to provide them with any information they need to know that you can give them. And you need your family to ask questions. Sometimes we bring people around and we don't want them to ask questions.
Right.
You need them to ask questions, so
Right.
that the person that we're with, if we did our homework, can better be prepared, to be able to answer questions, and you can do it together.
Right.
And it makes a big difference, trust me, for your family, that they think you have chosen someone that you really like to be around. And you're just not, like Oscar said, just doing it just to be doing it because you want to see what it's like.
Right.
Right.
And,
So
You
those
have
are the
to
three
fear of the
P's.
unknown too.
Yeah. Those are the three P's I talk about when someone is either trying to get into a relationship period and they're scared to tell their parents, because the person is either older or of a different race. I
Right.
talk about that.
and so
Yeah.
for a couple that has children, do you find that it's important to have the conversation if a couple has biracial children? We'll just say which one is, predominant, white and black, of course.
Right.
How do you, for a couple maybe that indoctrinates their child a certain way, how do you allow them to find that self-identity? And do you have that conversation with them, especially in today's society with the law and, perhaps you're being pulled over, what to do in a situation like that? If someone asks you if you're white or black, how do you distinguish, or, do you just say I'm mixed? How do you feel about that, Lewis?
So I think it's important. I really think it's important as adults to get their children, and we always think we need to learn as much as we can, separate it before we start to have inclusion. it's much better, so we can better understand who ourselves are and our Blackness and different things of that nature. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some level of understanding there, but I think also if you do not include some of the things that they should know, and although they may not be ready for it, but they should be exposed to it, so that on the way learning your Blackness and learning who you are and where you come from, you understand why certain things are a certain way. And you help provide that not only by someone of the same race, but someone of a different race who also cares, who also promotes, who also want to see, who also understand that our struggle is real. Because a lot of times, whether it's Black, white, or other culture, other races have gone through some stuff that we don't understand, that sometimes we kind of shy away. And I know we've been through the most, but hurt, harm, and danger do not discriminate and don't care how much you've gone through, right? It doesn't care. So it's where you can meet someone at a certain level so they can have a better understanding. And that's relatability. When you learn, as part of relationship, when you learn to relate, you get a chance to better understand where someone is and how to approach it.
Well, I try to make it very simple and plain. So if it were me in that situation, I would put watercolors in front of a child and have them to mix up the colors. And what happens when you mix this color and this color and you start painting, and whatever they create is beautiful, right? So then I would relate that to race. If especially if the child starts asking questions as they get older, Daddy, I see that your skin is pink, because kids don't just say white. Sometimes they may say pink. Well, mommy, your skin looks red or whatnot. So I would tell the child that you're beautiful. You're made up of two different colors, but I don't want you to look just at colors. Mommy and daddy love each other.
Right.
You came into the world because two people loved each other. And this is assuming that it was a healthy relationship. It wasn't, just overnight slam bam, whatever. But in a healthy situation, two people came together to create something beautiful, a beautiful person, and that's who you are. So, and I would say as you get older, as that child gets older, they become a teenager, they're going to have different experiences. So some of them you have to teach them in bite-size
Yeah.
chunks, if you will, because just to throw everything and have the child at 3 reading a Black Panther book, they're not going to get that.
Right.
Have them watching Roots and stuff like that, you're going to traumatize a child.
Right.
You know what I mean? I look at, even though my 3 kids, same wife, same woman, and my youngest daughter, you look at her, she looks like she has Asian in her, and I dreamt of her before she was born that she looked Asian.
Mm.
And that's exactly how she looks. My 3 kids came out 3 different shades, 3 different hair textures, but they're all beautiful. So again, I would just say kids need to be educated in bite size at the right time. When they start asking questions, there's a healthy way to do it. There's a book I recommend. It's called Blue Eyes, specifically for young African American women or girls specifically who may be struggling with identity. I forgot who wrote the book. Don't quote me on this. I don't know if it was by Toni Morrison, but the book is called Blue Eyes. And it's about the struggle of a Black girl who sees herself as ugly. She wants blue eyes because the girls who she sees are white and they have blue eyes, pretty hair, they have everything, but her hair is not like those. So she doesn't want her brown eyes, because to her brown eyes are ugly. Her brown skin is ugly. So she wants blue eyes. You know, I think that's a really powerful book to help young women just who struggle with, who may be of mixed race or just not, just you're struggling with identity because of color. You know, I think it's a powerful book. Again, it's called Blue Eyes.
Right. And which leads us to our final concluding question. Is it important for your mate to be an empath and do the research on Black history if they are dating someone African American, of course, past 400 years? You know, what it's like to be Black in America. Is that important? Is that vital so that they have an awareness?
Yes, I agree. For so long, the history that we've been taught, we had, to endure. And I feel like, the truth should be told. I feel like if you want to be with someone of a different culture, you should educate yourself. Um, it would be unfair to that person for you to just be oblivious and not know, or because a lot of times you may say, oh, well, I didn't know, and you did something that was offensive, but that's because you didn't take the time to, do some research or even have a conversation or be interested in where does this person come from? What is their history? What is their ancestry? What makes them who they are? And so I feel like having conversations, reading books, educating yourself is very important to getting to know someone. I wasn't a slave, but my ancestors were, you know what I'm saying? And to this day, we are dealing with some of those events, that have occurred, even though slavery was abolished, but we're not treated the way we deserve to be treated. So I feel like still we're in the fight, still we're in the struggle, still we're trying to reach a higher point. And so if you are wanting to, say you're with that person and you want to understand them, yeah, it's important to, get to know the culture, to get to know the person, so to speak, on a broader spectrum, where they come from and who they are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. Because, if anything comes up, I mean, it could be something, in the general public and someone says something, it's how do I take a stance and, support my mate, and how do I have an awareness so that she's not alone, she or he is not left alone in the dark, and I'm just sitting here rubbing their back like, oh, it's going to be okay. Is it?
Right.
Do you even understand
Right.
what happened?
Correct.
It's a very, very important question. On
And
the flip side, there's so many pros in dating interracial things. I mean, food, you guys will have difference in culture, language, you'll have
It's
different
true.
languages. As we just said, ancestry. It's such a beautiful thing. And with an open mind, I feel like, you never know where life in itself, the universe is taking you, a lot of things come in the way and it's like it could be seen negative, but it happened for a reason. So you have to embrace the positive in that and know that the universe is aligning you. And whomever you meet, it should not be based on the color of their skin, in my opinion. I feel like love does not have a shade. And it's a fruitful thing if you allow it to be.
right. And on the question about the education, should the other person educate themselves? This is my philosophy behind it, or my belief behind it. If that person is going to research, let's say, Black culture, don't start with slavery. You know,
Right.
don't start with the struggle.
No.
Don't start with Black Lives Matter.
No.
Don't. It goes well beyond that.
Right.
Rewind to the Harlem Renaissance. Talk about Reconstruction. Even go way back further and talk about culture, the beauty of our culture. Because if you just narrow it down to, hey, we were slaves, hey, we went through the struggle, man, and Black Power, Black Panther, yeah, that's a page. Those are pages
Correct.
within the story, but those are not the sum total
Right.
of the Black experience and what we have actually contributed to
Yeah.
a culture, not just here in the US. Black culture is not
Globally.
just the US.
Right, right.
You know, understand, you know, the economy in the West Indies
Yep.
prior to slavery. Find out about, you know, the Egyptians. Find out about the beautiful Africans in Kenya, the Maasai tribe, and, you know, understanding about music. And for those fellows who like to, you know, these twerking videos and twerking girls, where do you think that came from?
The motherland, home.
Right, but it's not like what you see today.
Exactly.
Get cultured in the true essence of the Black experience and the Black culture. Start there, I would say.
The rates of interracial marriage continue to rise, and social scientists have estimated that 1 in 5 Americans will be of mixed race by 2050. So this is definitely a serious conversation, and whether you can embrace it or not, it is
Here it is.
here to stay.
Yeah.
And I think it's a marvelous thing. I want to thank all of you guys tonight for this amazing conversation, and we will see all of you in episode 9. Yeah, we're talking about parenting next, so
Right.
I think we might need some wine for that one if you have teenagers at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good night, guys.
All right.
Good night.